stumbled upon an interesting article courtesy of Blogging the Boys, and this was a tag team of Sean Martin and our buddy Mark Lane from WFAA. And, they were doing a little podcast, and they were talking about some Cowboys that are in the best position to make up for the lack of team depth. And they came up with 4 names. And a couple of these names I think are solid. A couple of these names I don't know that I necessarily agree with, and I wonder what you guys think. So I'm going to throw them out there, and we can just discuss them. The first name that they mention would be Jabril Cox. Now, Jabril Cox is one of the names that I agree with. I can't wait to see him back on the football field. I was thrilled when the Cowboys drafted him last year in the mid-rounds out of LSU. Ton of upside there. Really good coverage linebacker, has a ton of speed. I know he's coming off of injury, but I'm not too worried about him making that recovery. Eric, you and I have seen him working out with Britt Brown and the training staff, and he's actually been doing sprints. I mean, it looks like he is, if not ahead of schedule, right on schedule to get back from that injury that he suffered last year. So excited for training camp. I think Jabril Cox could have a really, really nice year, especially for a linebacking core. Doesn't have a ton of depth behind Micah Parsons and Leighton Vander Esch, and he could be a guy that could step up in a big way.
Well, shots fired at Luke Gifford, huh?
I don't know that this coaching staff loves Luke Gifford. I mean, we only see him on special teams.
Luke Gifford loves Luke Gifford.
I don't know that Luke Gifford's mom loves Luke Gifford.
I think mom
Actually,
does.
I draw the line. Yeah, you're right.
That's a bit much.
I take that back. I've loved Luke Gifford ever since he blocked that punt that one time.
Hey, go
in
Big
that one
Red.
game. Yeah. Jabril Cox is going to be one of the fun storylines that can add a real nice dimension to the defense if he can come back in full form with his speed, his athleticism. Like the dream of him and Micah Parsons running around together is pretty fun. And if Leighton Vander Esch stays healthy and Jabril Cox is there and formidable, then it really, really allows you to
make Micah an edge.
Make Micah either an edge or just really add to the Swiss Army factor of what you can do with him. Because then it's like, okay, now we got some guys here. But I don't know how much I can really trust Vander Esch staying healthy and Jabril Cox coming back and being legit, because we just don't know. I liked him quite a bit coming out. I think there's a lot to work with there. Off an ACL though, we'll see. But that'd be real nice, man. Adding that speed, because the Cowboys have already really added so much speed over the last year to this defense, and Jabril Cox is just more of that.
Well, it's like, this is what they get from him. I don't want to say it's gravy. But this is also like this year is like usually the first year after the ACL is the slowest year, the slowest recovery year, right? It's the next year that you're going to be back to 100%.
Which is a good point, because you're probably hoping he's a starter next year. Because who knows if you still have Leighton Vander Esch.
Correct. So you want to get him to a point where you do feel comfortable having him start next year. But if let's just say best case scenario, Vander Esch is healthy the entire year and playing well, and Jabril Cox is ahead of schedule. I mean, now you've got, theoretically 2 solid linebackers. It allows you to be more versatile with Micah and allows you to put him where he can, be the best that he could be, which is, to me, on the defensive line. That's where he should be, because that's where he's going to get paid. He should want that. Holy cow, should he want that. He should want to be TJ Watt tomorrow, because he's already better than TJ Watt as a player. I already said it. I said it.
Take that for data.
You know what? He's shown that he's got more range. He's a more versatile player.
He's a better pass rusher
than TJ.
Let's do it.
Next up on the Cowboys in the best position in terms of making up for the lack of team depth, Eric, your favorite, Jayron Kearse. Now this guy, I think it's undersold how much linebacker he ends up playing. And it's almost like a rover for those that played high school football, where you're kind of a tweener in between like a strong safety linebacker. But I mean, when they go to their nickel, their dime, their sub packages, and they go to the 3 safeties with Hooker, Donovan Wilson, and Kearse, he really is playing linebacker.
And they do that a lot, man. They do that a lot. It's just getting in getting Kearse his size, his length, his athleticism, and his sure tackling in the box. And what we found about Jayron Kearse, much like me, like he does some of his best work in the box. And so that's what's very, very exciting for him. And he's got the green dot, so he brings that element there of the communication, the leadership, all that kind of stuff. But he's a guy that, hey, is he blitzing? Is he dropping into coverage? What's happening here? Because he is, to me, he's one of the 4 pillars of your defense. And that's what makes me excited that the defense can still be really, really legit this year, even if some of the takeaways come down, because I feel like at every level you have a stud. You have Tank on the D-line. You have Micah at linebacker. You have Diggs at corner. And you have Kearse at safety. And I know he's kind of a hybrid safety linebacker, but I think at every level of your defense, you have a legit, other than Tank at edge, you have the other 3 guys. I think they're all top 5 at their position. Well, in my mind, I mean,
if that's the case, you have the makings of a borderline. Would you say top 5 defense?
Well, they did last year.
Great.
They did last year because, especially when you look at the advanced numbers, the DVOAs, and all these different things, the efficiency numbers, the takeaways weigh heavily in those. And the Cowboys were far and away the best team in the league when it comes to takeaways. So the question is when the takeaways kind of inevitably come down because it's hard to duplicate 30-plus takeaways, and being number 1 in the sport. But now it's 2 years now, though. It's 2 years in a row that they've been pretty dang good at taking the ball away. True. Last year, they were extremely good as they were the best in the league. But the kind of the assumption is that those takeaways are going to come down.
Right.
So how do you make up for that? And hopefully it's the pass rush stays incredible, and then you shore up the run defense a little bit, and there you go.
And I agree with that. And RJ, this was an interesting stat. I know you love your numbers that I saw.
I do love my numbers.
The correlation to successful defense for the Cowboys, at least in terms of wins, the more important number for them has been points allowed instead of turnovers, actually. And when we've been able to watch them in practice, the red zone defense has been phenomenal. I mean, they've been really sticky in coverage. Now, I think we got to take this with a grain of salt because your receivers have been really bad, and you have not had your starters out there. But
all we have to do is guard Fehoko and Vasher.
But even going back to last year, I mean, this team was really good as a red zone defense. They were one of the best in all of the NFL. So, I mean, if they can at least carry over the points allowed and be one of the best scoring defenses in all of the NFL, maybe they can translate and have a successful defense yet again. The next 2 names, and these are the 2 that I don't agree with, Dalton Schultz. See, I think the Cowboys actually have better tight end depth than people are giving them credit for.
Well,
your big sprinkle guy?
Yeah.
It's not sprinkle.
Sprinkle dinkle?
I like Jake Ferguson quite a bit. I don't know how much they're going to play Jake Ferguson, but I also think Sean McEwen can play.
Look, their tight end depth is not bad, but it's not bad not because these guys are uber talented, but because Dak Prescott makes safety net players out of his tight ends. Like Dalton Schultz, if Dalton Schultz is playing for Kansas City, Dalton Schultz is not going to excel like Travis Kelce. But he plays here. Dak takes a lot of underneath passes. He will if he doesn't have that available downfield, he has no problem dumping it off. Now that's both a blessing and a curse. Right? Because, you want to take those. I want to take safety nets away from him. They keep saying they want to throw more to the running backs. No. Downfield. I want to get rid of his options to take safety net passes. I want to get rid of that. I want to force him to go throw the ball down the field if I'm the Cowboys. I want him going downfield. So, yeah, they do have tight end depth, but I don't know because it's talent. I think a lot of it's because Dak uses tight ends sometimes too much.
Like as a crutch?
Yeah. Don't you think? I mean, like Dalton Schultz out of nowhere became, had more. So when Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry signed their big deals with New England, I was like, wait a minute. Dalton Schultz had more yards and receptions than both of them. Is he a $50 million a year guy? $50 million total guy? It's because Dak uses crutches a lot, which is fine. I mean, you're moving the chains. Their offense is great, but it's sometimes to a detriment.
Yeah.
And then you have Tyler Biadasz at center.
Biadasz.
Biadasz. Look, he is taking the number 1 reps at center, and I'm hopeful that Biadasz can take the next step. I think he played better last year. The question is, I think, upstairs, like mentally. making the right calls at the line of scrimmage. And that is something he needs to progress. And I wonder if they're going to have a competition at training camp. So that'll be interesting to see what happens with Biadasz moving forward.
That's right.